Holding an object made thousands of years ago and understanding its message is like traversing time with your own hands. For decades, archaeologists believed they had a deep understanding of the ruins of ancient Mesopotamia, especially Shurupac, one of the oldest cities ever recorded. Thousands of clay tablets were found there, describing administrative routines, grain lists, animal exchanges, and simple records of daily life. Stories about gods and the Great Flood had also been translated countless times. Yet, nothing prepared the researchers for what emerged when a single, different tablet came to light. The discovery occurred during a seemingly ordinary excavation, on a warm afternoon near the ancient site associated with Shurupac, destroyed around 2900 BC. The team's objective was to document architectural layers and ceramic remains. Nothing indicated that anything extraordinary was buried there, until the ground gave way under a worker's feet, revealing a small chamber sealed for millennia, preserved beneath layers of mud bricks. When the flashlight illuminated the interior, the scene seemed frozen in time. Charred animal bones, broken pottery, and an abandoned reed basket suggested a hasty escape. There were no human bodies, but the atmosphere carried a clear sense of urgency and fear. Carbon dating placed the chamber precisely in the period associated with the earliest Mesopotamian flood narratives. In the center of the space, a thick clay casing caught the eye. It had been molded to withstand fire, water, and impact. That, in itself, was unusual. Tablets from that period were rarely protected in this way. When the casing was carefully opened, it revealed a single clay tablet in near-perfect condition. It had been hardened by an ancient fire, making it extremely resistant. The inscriptions were so faint, they could barely be seen with the naked eye. Under the right light, subtle marks emerged, engraved with disconcerting precision. The tablet was also heavier than any other found at the site, suggesting that the clay had been selected with extreme care. Everything indicated that it had been made to last, as if the maker knew it needed to outlive the city's own collapse. Around the edges, high-resolution cameras captured delicate patterns that did not correspond to any known Shurupac writing style. It was not an administrative record. The texture, density, and visual organization suggested deliberate intent. One of the archaeologists stated, almost in a whisper, that it seemed like a message intended for the future, not for the scribe's contemporaries. When the tablet arrived at the laboratory, the strangeness only increased. None of the markings matched any known Sumerian catalogs. It wasn't just an ancient text. It was a coded text, and no traditional linguistic approach could decipher it. The symbols resembled archaic proto-cuneiform, but behaved differently. Groupings repeated themselves with mathematical symmetry, occupying all available space. There were no free margins, nor conventional separations. Some symbols suggested water, others sky, others cyclical movement, but together, they did not form comprehensible sentences. It was as if the language had been compressed to its maximum limit. Human attempts at translation quickly failed. Separating the symbols into syllables destroyed the pattern. Grouping them semantically produced no meaning. Treating them as numbers created instability. The tablet seemed to resist human interpretation, as if it had been designed to be read in another way. Faced with this, the team made an unprecedented decision. They resorted to artificial intelligence created to detect hidden patterns in modern encrypted data. The AI had never been designed for archaeology. Its only talent was recognizing unusual structures. To prepare it, the engineers fed the system thousands of authentic samples of Sumerian writing, teaching it to recognize what was normal for that time. Then, they loaded the complete scan of the tablet. When the analysis began, the AI froze. For several seconds, the system was frozen, overwhelmed by the extreme density of microgrooves on the clay surface. When it finally resumed processing, its first report left everyone speechless. The inscriptions were not classified as ancient writing. They were classified as a mathematical loop. This meant that the symbols were organized in repetitive sequences that changed depending on how they were read. Structures of this type were only known in modern encrypted files. They had never been detected in ancient writing. With each new scan, the AI identified more internal loops. Instead of producing direct translations, it began generating isolated words. These terms did not come from the tablet, but from the AI's own frame of reference. When it did not recognize a pattern, the machine searched its memory for something structurally similar and assigned an approximate label. These labels began to appear with disturbing frequency: cycles, rupture, return, repetition. AI wasn't translating words, it was describing structural behaviors. When the researchers forced an attempt at a complete translation, the room filled with tension. The resulting text was short, fragmented, and laden with urgency. The first line stated that when the sky bends and the waters speak, the silent rise again. Then it said that the world had drowned before, and that it would drown again. The last line warned that the watchers below do not sleep. It didn't sound like a myth written centuries later. It sounded like someone recording a collapse as it happened. As more fragments emerged, the text became surprisingly concrete. It described abrupt climate changes, crops rotting in the fields, acidic and unstable soil, unpredictable rivers. These details corresponded exactly to what archaeology already knew about Shurupac's final years. One passage stated that the stars had disappeared from the sky. The AI marked this as symbolic, but scholars interpreted it as dust storms or thick atmospheric fog. In a city surrounded by river plains, a simple environmental change would be enough to completely obscure the night sky. Next, the text mentioned a second flood, not of water, but of dark air, something that would block the light and suffocate the world. The author stated that he did not record this by choice, but out of obligation. He said he had been ordered to record the message for those who would come after him. Up until then, everything seemed like an environmental warning. But then, the tone changed. The text then went on to speak of something much older, something that existed before humans dominated the plains. It claimed that the Great Flood was not intended to destroy people, but to erase something else. It mentioned beings described as those who have no breath and who walk in the shadows. The AI associated these expressions with patterns found in ancient Sumerian exorcism tablets, which described non-human forces. These were not literal translations, but conceptual correspondences. The text stated that these beings had not been destroyed, only pushed to the cold places beneath the earth, where water could not reach. These descriptions echoed ancient myths about entities that survive in silence, associated with earthquakes, fissures, and disturbances in the ground. Stories of spirits described as dead, yet awake, trapped in the depths, but conscious. The parallel was too strong to ignore. The most disturbing passage stated that these forces return when human arrogance grows. The text warned that new builders, who forget the memory of the depths, risk awakening what sleeps below. The fear in the language was palpable. The tablet also described physical signs: earth trembling, ground cracking, strange lights appearing near fissures. The AI associated these symbols with geological activity. The author appeared to have witnessed real tremors and ruptures during the city's final days. When the AI cross-referenced these descriptions with modern data, something even more unsettling occurred. It began to find direct matches: flash floods in historically dry regions, increased seismic activity in the Middle East, deep fractures emerging near ancient settlement areas, unexplained lights recorded in ocean depths where no bioluminescent life should exist. The AI indicated an 87% statistical alignment between what the tablet described and current global conditions. It no longer seemed like a symbolic interpretation. It seemed like a recurring pattern. The final conclusion was devastating. The flood, according to the text, was not the end. It was a restart, a cleansing event intended to bury something older. The real disaster was yet to come, when the cycle returned. The tablet spoke of neither monsters nor divine punishment. It spoke of natural processes, trapped gases, deep pressures, ancient buried materials that emerge when the planet breaks apart again. It spoke of a sudden silence before the collapse, something that modern science recognizes as common before major earthquakes. The final message stated that the warning was not for the ancient world, but for survivors of a future cycle. When the researchers requested further analysis, the AI crashed and displayed an alert. The patterns were dangerously similar to the present. The conclusion left everyone deeply shaken. The author believed that the Earth goes through cycles of collapse capable of wiping out entire civilizations, and that these cycles don't end with the flood. They return when the same signs reappear. Whether this is merely an echo from the past or a warning that has spanned millennia remains a question. And now I want to know your opinion. If this type of discovery were real, do you think we would be ready to hear what it has to say? If this topic intrigued you, leave a comment, like the video, and subscribe to the channel to continue following these stories that challenge everything we think we know about our own world.